So in that sense, Josh, I mean, someone else we talked to said that what's really important on the emotional side is people realize who they are, what they're, what have the self-awareness to know what their strengths are. But I think what you just described also is the willingness of kind of the entrepreneur, that person to allow other people to kind of do what they're good at. And that I think is unique. Sometimes,
Mm.
in my work, I encounter entrepreneurs who got a business to a certain level and that gave them confidence, which gave them hubris, which then meant that it was hard for them to take it any further because it was really all about them because they did
Well,
it.
you just said it, and there's something that I think so important. And I'm a bit of a fake stoic, in that I really, really work on. Look, I am as indulgent as the next guy. I love fashion. I love travel. I love adventure. What I've really, and this, I really learned a lot about this through the starting of JUNO. This is the first company where I've raised capital. Everything else I've bootstrapped, sold, had a great financial, but this is a whole nother world when you get into like this level of chaos and expectation. What I learned that identity, the word you said, I mean, when your identity is wrapped up in your job, you are destined to a unhealthy life. I just believe that. I really, really do, because I always tell people this, guess what? No one is going to remember your company 100 years from now. Most likely, they're not going to remember it 20, 30, 40 years from now at the pace that we see, companies transition. So you're basing your entire value as a human being on something that no one's going to remember. Possibly, look, we started Profit to Purpose. We had 1 million global employees accessing our platform.
Wow.
It doesn't exist anymore. We sold it. It got wrapped up. The company that bought us had millions and millions of employees accessing it. It doesn't exist. It got wrapped up. These companies don't exist anymore. They get wrapped up. It's a story. It's part of the story we get to tell, but it's not so I always tell them, man, if your identity, if your value as a human being is wrapped up in your job, you're destined for I think a train wreck. If you, and this is something I don't know when this comes up. I think at the very end of the questions you asked, but maybe I'll just say it anyway now. I'll skip ahead because I think it fits where we're talking about right now. But one of the questions that you asked me is and I'm sorry for skipping ahead, but I think it fits here. If the world had 5 minutes to listen to something you say, what would it be? And guys, the difference between happiness and joy, the difference between a feeling and a disposition. And I think as people, the reason why we don't get to grow in our careers, the reason that we hit ceilings, is because our identity is wrapped up in something that's fleeting, and our position as a human isn't established in joy. And so next thing you know, you care about who gets the credit. You care about how you're seen. You care about the value you can take from something versus the value you can give to something. And the ceiling just keeps getting lower and lower and lower on your overall impact on life. I just believe that.